Well, greetings and welcome to our 2006 NC Miata. We've done a lot of work to fix this little car up, and here at Just Car People Things, we love buying a cool older Miata like this to just basically knock around in every day. This is a Grand Touring 2006. That means it's the top trim. It's got things like leather seats. Later Grand Tourings had heated seats. The buttons are down here. It's got Bose sound, keyless entry, a lot of other kind of nicer car features. Going from an NA to an NB to an NC is a pretty substantial jump in the sort of carness of the car. This feels like a much more substantial car. The joke in the NC community is, or the Miata community, is these are boats, which really isn't that true because these things only weigh about a couple 100 pounds more than an NA, and they handle delightfully. The steering is excellent. The MZR 2-liter motor that's in these is absolutely perfect and easy and fun and torquey, and it just is a delight on these little back roads, and it kind of just zips through. It doesn't really need to zing to redline. A lot of the NAs and NBs, you always felt like you needed to just really hang them out on the limit to make them, you know, feel like they're going fast. This feels like a much more substantial car, and we've had very good luck with it overall. You know, one of the things that I'll say that I find to be particularly nice about it is that it's got really good everything, and it's just been a great car to live with over the last few months. I've put probably 10 or 12,000 miles on it. I've had great luck with it, haven't had any issues, and it's been just kind of a joy to own. So as far as maintenance and kind of the other odds and ends, we're at about 110,000 miles. I did spark plugs in it, air filter, rebuilt the shifter turret up here on top, re-greased that. I think that's totally worth doing, very easy to do. Just got to sort of remove some panels down here and put it all back together. And, you know, went through new headlight bulbs, put a new coolant expansion tank in it. If you get one of these Miatas, you should absolutely replace the coolant expansion tank. It costs about 70 or 80 bucks. One of the underlying issues with these from a coolant expansion tank point is that they get old, they get yellow, they get brittle, and they crack, and you actually are potentially going to blow the motor up before you end up finding out that the car is actually overheating. So we've got the top up today just for sound reasons. It's pretty hard to hear us in here, you know, with the roof down on the video. It is a pretty comfortable car though at speed with the roof down. The radio, actually, this Bose radio, actually has an on and off setting, or top up or down setting for the radio, which is pretty handy. So we've really enjoyed that across the board. Here we are down into a relatively boring 25 zone, so we're gonna come up here, we're gonna jump out of the car, do a quick walk around here as we progress through our review. But we've got kind of some nice features. We have steering wheel controls, which is something that you don't get in a lot of older cars. In the NAs and NBs, you literally just barely get a radio in those cars. This just feels more substantial. It feels more like a car you can live with every day. It probably is a little bit safer, frankly. It's going to be a little bit heavier, a little bit more comfortable, a little bit easier to live with on a day-to-day basis. And we can do a quick jump around here as long as there's no creeper in this van. We're probably okay. All right, we can turn the car off, actually. Make things easy. This has the real key. There are some of these that have like this weird little keyless entry key card that people kind of hate. So this is it here. One thing to look for when you're shopping for an NC is to make sure that the top is solid. These tops are pretty expensive to replace. They're actually more than NA and NB tops to replace. We've also got a keyless open trunk and what I would consider to be a real trunk. This is actually pretty substantial. You could put a whole, I think you can fit a whole tire in here realistically, especially if you have a flat. There is no spare in this though. You'll notice you have an inflator kit mounted right there. So easy to do. I did a stubby antenna just because the stock antenna is this big long whip, and what else to tell you about it? I don't know. It's a pretty cool little car. It's definitely had its windshield replaced, which is pretty normal on these. They tend to take a lot of rock chips because the car is so low. So when you go to look for one, really make sure the front's not like super beat up to death and just not totally chewed up. A lot of them need repaints on the front skin. The Grand Tourings do have projector headlights and fog lights as well. I think that's a pretty worthwhile investment for these. You know, if you're gonna try to find one, spend a little extra money. This had the chrome fuel filler as well. So under the hood, pretty easy to get to. These cars are very easy to work on. You can do almost everything yourself. One of the hardest jobs to do was replacing the headlight bulbs, which are really buried back under here. Here's that new coolant expansion tank I was talking about. This is the one that I think is really a high-risk part. I replaced it with a factory one, but they make metal ones too. They're totally worth spending the money on. I think it's a worthwhile investment to replace that. This had a newer drive belt around 100,000 miles, and of course takes, you know, engine oil and all that other regular service stuff. So pretty easy car to maintain. I frankly think anyone with a, you know, decent floor jack or set of ramps could probably maintain just about everything on this vehicle. So one thing to note, NCs struggle with seatbelt retraction. I've tried a couple tricks to get it to retract a little bit better, and it's been better, but you know, something you kind of have to live with or learn to live with. So we are off here. Great turning radius on these. This is you know, this thing can almost turn within a parking lot like this. It's just pretty crazy. And I think it's just a really easy car to drive. My wife comments how easy of a car to drive it is. The top mechanism's really nice. It's just this button right here. So all you do is push that down and it just top pops down, and then there's a latch right here to release it to put it back up. So it's a really quick little mechanism for the top, which I think is super cool and really something that is very handy to deal with. So the top is probably easier than the NAs and NBs that have two latches, and the S2000s that have two latches. The Solstices and NCs had a single latch in the middle, and I think that's just a little easier to live with. One thing to mention on these too, to just generally be very careful about, I don't use the sun visors at all. That's in part because I'm a little bit taller, and I'm at about 6 foot, and if you're much taller than 6 foot, your head is going to be hitting up here on the ceiling. This car is really built for people under 6 feet. Depending on your proportions, I think you're going to really struggle if you're over 6'1" or 6'2" to fit in this car. Particularly if you're looking to use it for track work, you'll probably need to go to a lower seat or lower seat rails, which I think are options. That stuff, those parts are out there. So from a headroom, legroom perspective, this is a pretty manageable car. I think it's pretty comfortable, but again, if you're over that 6'1" or 6'2", gonna be a little bit of a struggle for you. Braking is excellent. I don't really have any issues. This car does have ABS. I believe all NC Miatas came with ABS, though someone's probably going to correct me in the comments below. You know, I wanted to take about 10 or 15 minutes to try to give you all the information out there about a little bit of a review of these cars, but it's got great power. It's actually very easy to drive at about 50 miles an hour in 6th gear. It does turn a fair number of revs on the highway. You know, and when you get into a Grand Tour, you know, Grand Touring, some of the Miatas that are higher trims, you get a little bit more options, right? So you're going to have actual door lock and unlock buttons. You're going to have actual power mirror buttons. There's a lot of kind of neat, handy little things out there that are, you know, kind of included in the car. So power-wise, they make great power. I mean, 4th gear, like, actually feels pretty substantial in these cars. I don't find that to be the case in the NAs and NBs. Those cars tend to struggle a little bit on the power band spectrum in terms of pure enjoyment and pure driving capability. Those cars are just not quite as capable. So these are fun. That's what I've got. You can typically buy one of these for somewhere in the neighborhood of, you know, $6,000 $6,000 or $7,000 up to about $15,000 if you want to go to a power retracting hardtop model that's maybe a little more desirable, has a few better features. One of the things you'll probably really struggle with when driving it is this. Right now, you're going to get stuck behind some folks that are plodding along to work, and they're kind of more pedestrian mid-size SUVs, and you don't get to bomb, you know, your favorite corners with it here. But this car is easy to heel toe, easy to drive as a manual, makes great power, and you can drive it pretty hard. That's kind of one of the perks about it. Like, you can really push it pretty hard and not really have too many issues. So you know, one of the joys of a Miata is you can really get away with basically hooning. And the fun part is you're never going that fast. You're never going probably faster than you know, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. These cars are great in the snow. I have a set of snow tires for it. It is a total blast to zip around in the snow. I've never gotten stuck in a Miata. This is my 7th Miata. So with that, I'll probably wrap up on our quick morning drive here, just to show you a little bit about the car, and hope you guys can get out there, find a nice clean NC that hasn't been beaten to death, and get one of these things. They're just fantastic little cars, especially for less than 10 grand. Cheers, guys.